All right, we are live. All right, we want to welcome everybody to the Crown Council live podcast today. We are thrilled today to have one of our newer resource partners on with us. This is Dave Monahan with KLEER. Dave is the CEO and founder of KLEER. And for some of you that are listening and tuning in today, you were able to meet KLEER at our annual event in Nashville. It was a pleasure to have them there, and we know they got a lot of action there. And today you have the opportunity to ask questions. Both you can either text them in or you can interrupt us. We're live here, and you're able to come off mute and just ask Dave straight up. Dave, thanks so much for being with us here today.
Oh, yeah, Spencer, thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody for joining us today.
As KLEER is a brand new resource partner to the Crown Council, we would love to hear from you, Dave, the introduction to KLEER in your words and how it came about. And then we'll transition into putting it into place in today's times.
Cool. Yeah, so thanks, Spencer. Yeah, I'll do a quick intro of KLEER, a little bit about myself just because it's related to that, and then I have some slides we can go through. And I think the goal here is to keep this very interactive. So as you have questions, you can ask them. Spencer can jump in, and we'll keep this, moving whatever direction you guys would like to. So just from a background perspective on KLEER, so basically KLEER was started through some market research that I had done, and I'll share that market research as part of some of my slides. And we basically looked at how uninsured patients think and what they think of dental care. It was sort of one side of it, is just trying to understand patients and how they feel about dental care and dental coverage. And then on the other side, we're trying to understand the dental practices and the ups and the downs and the struggles and the sort of things that they were trying to sort of attain. And sort of coming out of that research, we developed KLEER. And basically, KLEER was to bring the best of sort of both sides together. It enables a patient to get the care they want and need in a subscription that's simple, understandable, transparent, affordable. And on the other side, it's giving the dental practices a way to offer care directly to their patients without a third party in the way. So you control the plan design, what's included, what's not, the pricing, everything about it. And I'll go through some slides explaining sort of how we coach practices to design their membership plan to be successful. And so if you think about KLEER, what we are is basically a platform and a group of people who help you make your membership plan successful and provide the tools to do that, like the platform that you use to design and offer your plan to your patients. You also use it to manage your patients who are on the plan, see what benefits they have, see where the deposits are, like everything you need. And then on the patient side, it's a tool, basically a portal where they can manage their benefits that they've purchased from you, and they can manage payments and things like that and renewals. And so basically it's everything you need to be successful. And I'll define what success is as I go through this. Cool. I'll just jump into some of the things I like to talk about. And again, if you have questions or comments, please either jump in or post them, and Spencer will jump in as needed. But I was going to go through a few things. One is, why would you want to implement a membership plan now, given the COVID crisis, and sort of what impact that has on your practice when you reopen? Why do they actually work? So it's really important to understand that and the basis of a membership plan and why it's attractive to a patient, why it works for a dental practice, the results we see on our platform, and then some best practices that we've seen that if you're going to implement one, just make sure you follow these rules that we sort of have developed over time, working with thousands of dental practices. So now to the question of why now, I know this is a depressing slide, but it's just reality all the way, just through April 22nd, so it hasn't been very long, there was 26.5 million job losses because of COVID. The whole Great Recession of 2008 and through 2009, there was only 8.7 million job losses. So basically already at 3x the Great Recession. And it's just a data point, right? Hopefully that 26.5 is going to shrink. But the net is, the job losses, I think everybody's predicting already, are going to be greater than the Great Recession in a much faster, more compressed timeline. where the Great Recession was 2 years. We're only weeks into this. So what we're trying to do here, and I got a few more slides like this, where I'm trying to compare it to something that's happened in the past and say, what can we learn from that? So one thing to learn is we're going to have more people losing coverage and losing jobs, because of the job losses. But here's some good news. This is from an ADA study that was done and published last year. It looked at prior to the Great Recession and after the Great Recession. So the Great Recession is right here in the gray area in 2008, 2009. And the blue line is the percentage of the population that visited a dentist each year. And so way back here in 2003, it was 41%. You fast forward to 2015, it's 39%. So a little bit of a change, not a big one. But what happened during the Great Recession is just a minor change in visits. It dropped about 6%. So I think that's good news is, at a base level, consumers or patients value oral care and they want to go in and get care done. Now, there are differences, obviously, with COVID, where you're going to have to be ready and able to explain how you're going to protect the patient when they're in your practice. But the net is there's an underlying need from a consumer perspective to go in and get dental care. It's just, it's sort of a baseline need is the way I look at it. Now, here's data from the same study. What I circled here up in the red is, actually, let me explain this real quick, what it's showing. It's showing the percentage of payments going to a dental practice from different sources. So did they come from cash or out of pocket, private insurance, Medicaid, and other? And it's the green bar is prior to the Great Recession. The blue bar is after the Great Recession. And what you see here is this pressure on out of pocket or cash paying patients, which naturally increases the percentage of payments coming from private insurance. It's not that insurance payments went up. It just went as a percentage of the payments made to a practice, they were a greater percentage because cash paying patients pulled back a bit. So what you see here is pressure on cash paying patients. And, given all those job losses I just talked about, we think it's going to be even worse when we come out of the COVID crisis. So what can you expect coming out of COVID? One is there's going to be a backlog of treatment needs. You probably heard this a lot, right? And depending on how long the practices are closed, your practice in particular, it could be 2 or 3 months. Hopefully it's less than that, but you got some treatment backlog. People are going to want to come in and get treatment done. But at the same time, a lot of your patients are going to lose coverage and insurance. They're also going to have pressure on cash, right? Because other things are being strained. Either they may have lost jobs, or payroll may have been cut back, or they might be nervous about the future. So there's going to be pressure on them paying cash. And then, so the net is on this is that you got a need and a want around oral care, but there's also going to be some pressure on whether they can purchase that or not. And just to explain a membership plan, just so we're all on the same page, I'm going to get into those other topics in a second, but this is sort of a typical membership plan where you're offering one care plan for a child, one for an adult, one for a perio patient. And I'll just jump in the middle here. The adult complete, you have your typical hygiene visits. You got discounts off of other procedures, and in this case, they're offering a discount if you add multiple family members to your plan. You price these plans however you want. What we're showing here is, as part of the KLEER process, you upload your fee schedule. It will show you the UCR around all these things and say, okay, this is typically $600 for a patient. How much would you like to discount it? And that's what we show here is the price that you end up with that you're going to offer the patient and how much they're going to save off of UCR. And the key here is you're controlling all of that. You're deciding what's in, what's out, how much somebody's going to pay, whether you offer monthly payments or not. You have the option to do that or not. And basically make this so it works for your practice and for your patients. And I'll talk about how you design these things in a way that works for both sides. But that's sort of the goal. Moving on to why do these work? And this gets back to when I first started talking I said we did a lot of market research. We actually did one-on-one interviews with patients. We did focus groups where we bring 7 or 8 patients in around the table and talk to them. And we did a national survey of thousands of uninsured consumers. And this is what we learned. So first data point is a lot of people don't have dental benefits. So 1 in 3 U.S. adults and 2 in 3 seniors don't have them. And the reason it's higher in the senior population is when they retire, they lose their benefits because they have retired, and Medicare does not offer dental insurance. So one is just before COVID, there were about 150 million uninsured consumers. Post COVID, it's going to be quite a bit more. And the guidance I'm seeing right now is going into the COVID crisis, you probably had about 30%, maybe 33% of patients were uninsured. Post-COVID, you're going to be closer to 50%. So it's getting close to that balancing act where almost half of your patients are going to be uninsured. So you really need to make sure you have something for them when they come into your practice. Here's some really good news about Uninsured. This is based on our national survey. They really value oral health, so they link it to their overall health, to their quality of life, and their longevity. So an incredible value proposition. Basically, you're selling something that your uninsured patients want, but that's something our research uncovered though. So they value oral care, but they just don't visit. So this is on the left-hand side here is people with insurance, so dental insurance visit. It's been fairly steady. It's dropped a little bit over the last couple of years, but that is they come in at about 50%. About 50% of people with insurance come in on an annual basis to a dental practice. When you go to the uninsured, it's 17%. I mean, it's incredibly low, right, relative to the insured. So obviously the question we were asking is why? So they value oral health as they showed, but they're not coming in. And it really comes down to two things. They say it's too expensive and they don't have insurance, or I don't have coverage, I don't have benefits, things like that. And they're very equal in weight, and they're very related to each other. So when you dig in on this a little bit, and I'll show a slide in a minute, which basically tries to put you in the mindset of an uninsured patient, but not having coverage, they feel exposed. And then when they go to try to get treatment, they basically have no idea how much it's going to cost. So they always assume it's going to be more expensive than it actually is. And we would ask patients, how much is a cleaning? How much is an exam? How much is an x-ray? And they typically would guess 2 to 4 times higher than what the actual cost was. And so they're assuming the worst. It's a very opaque market. Pricing is very hard to come by. And so the net is they don't feel like they have anybody looking over their shoulder and helping them because they don't have coverage, and they don't have any idea how much price, how much something should cost. And the COVID-19 is going to only reinforce these two things. Obviously too expensive if, they have pressure either on their current job, or they lost their job, or they're getting cut back from a payroll perspective. That's going to put pressure there. And also more employers are going to be dropping insurance as we move forward here. So there's going to be more pressure again on both of those things. So getting into the chair of an uninsured patient, this is what we sort of came out with as part of, we sort of brought all the market research together. They're worried about cost. They hate not having coverage. They sort of beat themselves up over that because they know they should. They have no way of determining the price. They're completely uncomfortable negotiating fees. They're not going to get in a discussion with you, or most of them aren't going to get in a discussion with you about, hey, that you're going to charge me $125 for that cleaning. Would you give it to me for $100? Like, they just don't feel comfortable doing that because it's a healthcare setting, and they don't want you to get upset if they're trying to negotiate fees. So the net is they feel exposed is sort of the high level view of this. And that, her face in this image, I think, is a good capture of that feeling, and that feeling of exposure. And to put yourself into their position, I basically say, how does this feel, right? You take your car into a mechanic, they say you have some part you need, but you don't really know if you need it. You really don't know how much the part should cost. So you basically, come up, as one of two options here. I either, say no thanks, and I drive out, and I'm very nervous. My car is going to break down. I now have another thing I have to go take care of somewhere down the road. I got to spend time to try to figure this out. And it's not a good feeling at all. The other feeling, I'm not sure if it's better or worse, but it's not a good feeling either when you just, sort of capitulate and say, okay, you just do it. And then you have no idea if you're paying the right amount, if you even needed that part. You don't even know if your mechanic is all that good at putting that part in. And so the net is, you just sort of, swallow and move forward. And so, again, both outcomes aren't very good. And that's similar to how uninsured patients feel. Now, the good news of the market research we did was there's a lot of interest in dental coverage. So about 90% of uninsured patients would like coverage. And about half of those patients, of the uninsured patients, are either very or extremely interested. And we see this all the time in the practices we work with. They easily get half of their uninsured patients interested in purchasing the membership plan. And a lot of times it's 75 to 80%. So this actually maps pretty well to the real world. We see it, day in and day out. But there were caveats about the type of coverage they want. So they want it to be simple, transparent, and affordable. And so the net, if I sort of had to take a big step back and say, why are they saying those things? And I think there's two reasons. One is they know what insurance looks like. They know it's a 10-page, 15-page document. And in the words of one of the people we interviewed, they're going to get me. One way or the other, they're going to get me. And so they're completely uncomfortable with those long, difficult to understand contracts. And they're looking for something more simple and transparent. And on the other side, they're used in the rest of their world to simple subscriptions that don't have a lot of caveats, that are easy to understand, can be read within a couple lines, right? And it gives them options so that as they move forward. And That's basically what they're looking for, is something they see in the rest of their lives, which is simple, a simple subscription. And the books we sort of referenced and the studies we reference, a lot of them came from The Membership Economy and The Automatic Customer. These are books out there you can purchase and read, but basically these books are saying subscription economy, the subscription economy or membership economy, whatever you want to call it, is coming to every industry, and it works really well in businesses that have, basically repeat customers who have other options. And it's a great description for the dental market, right? They can go to a lot of different dental practices. They have options and they need, care over and over again. It's a repeat business. And what a membership plan or membership economy or membership tries to do is bring to that market a long-term mutually beneficial relationship. So both sides are contributing to it and getting value out of it. So what do your members get? They get access to your service, right? In simple and convenient terms that they can understand easily and understand, what they get, what they don't get. And it's not like they know there's some landmine down the road, right? It's just a simple sort of value proposition for them. And what do companies, or in this case, dental practices, get? Based on all the studies that have done across industry, they get loyal customers who purchase twice as much as they would if they weren't a member of your practice. And I'll get to results in a second, what we see in practices on the KLEER platform. But relating this to probably other services you subscribe to, and these are some of mine. And if I just think about the impact this has on me, like I rarely stay anywhere besides a Marriott. I rarely get a coffee outside of Starbucks. I use Prime for everything. That's only gotten more true during the COVID crisis. And you just think about this. These are the things I commit to, and these are the things I repeatedly purchase from. And it's, think about your membership plan in the same way. This is basically the effect you're trying to get. You want your patients committed and loyal to your practice and staying with you for a long period of time. And for that, basically you're just going to give up a few things and give them access to your care in a more simple way than they would normally purchase from you. What this creates is what we call the membership club effect. So this is based on patients who purchase a membership plan and the feelings they get from that purchase. So what they told us was a lot of emotional things, like I feel good, I'm taking steps to better oral health, I feel financially savvy. That's a really important one, by the way. That savviness and feeling like I'm getting a deal is something really important to make sure that they come away with as part of the membership plan experience. I trust my dentist. So this is direct, right? It's transparent, it's simple. You've gotten rid of all the hassles, all the middleman stuff, right? No deductibles, no maximums, the waiting periods, the whole 9 yards. That all goes away. What that does is build trust. And what consumers like nowadays is that direct relationship with whoever's providing them product or services. And then, so those are the big three: feeling good, financially savvy, trust. And then two other ones that came through from time to time: I feel special for being a member, and I also have peace of mind because I now have coverage where I didn't before. And if you go back to that data that showed why did they stay away and not visit, it's that idea of having coverage, and that brings peace of mind to them, that when they're in your practice and getting care and treatment, they're going to feel good that they have coverage that gives them a discount off of typical fees. So Spencer, I have some other things to go through here that I want to get through, but anything I should stop? Any questions or anything to clarify?
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to, I've unmuted everybody, and so far you've heard Dave share how a membership plan works with KLEER. And especially, I think so interesting and applicable to our current time. Like you've mentioned, coming out of COVID, we're getting our offices ready to start opening again. We're going to feel a financial pinch, or our patients will. How can we present this in a way that eases their burden on coming in regularly, but at the same time, it's creating a long-term plan with them and getting, like you mentioned, they truly become a long-term patient / member of your office. And I think it's awesome. Any questions for Dave? You're welcome to type them in or just come on and ask the question. Everybody is off mute. Usually that takes a second, Dave, and feel free to just carry on. And there's even more participants joining in. So I would go to phase 2 of yours, and then we'll see the questions start coming in.
Okay, cool. So yeah, now shifting towards, now's a good time, right, to implement for the reasons we went through. This is why they work. Now, question is, so what type of results can you expect or do you see? So what we do actually for any practice that joins the KLEER platform, we offer to them to take a look at their practice management data. And we typically do this 6 to 12 months after they implement, and just look at how are their membership plan patients behaving in visits, and how much treatment they're purchasing, things like that, and compare it to patients that have no coverage and patients that are insured. And what I'm going to show here is just, we can show it relative to insured, but then it gets to be a lot of data. So I narrowed it down to patients that don't have coverage and patients that have a KLEER membership plan. And let's look at the difference between the two. And just some background, we have thousands of dental practices across all 50 states. The study I'm going to show, these are random practices that submitted their data. We didn't call any out. We just took all the ones that, basically asked for the analysis and averaged them. And then I'll go through some individual ones to show it at a practice level. And you can see it spanned across a lot of different types of practices. And I'll show a map in a second, some locations. And then it included, basically all 3 of the big practice management software systems. Not that it matters, but, some had Dentrix, some had EagleSoft, some had Open Dental. And what the average was, so this is the average across all those practices. What we saw was, so the red bar is the average production on hygiene, treatment, and total production for uncovered patients. Okay. And the blue is for the KLEER membership plan patients. And we just broke it down, just to keep it simple: hygiene, other treatment, and then total. And so on average, what we saw was a 70% increase in hygiene revenue per patient, over 100%, so 2.3x increase in treatment, which is the huge change, obviously, and then a total production increase of 2.1. Now, what was amazing to us was how that related back to those books I referenced, and what they see across all industries is a 2x increase in purchases. So it was shocking to us that we actually aligned exactly to what those studies had shown in other industries. And it's not like everybody's 2x, right? You don't, just stamp this across every practice. It varies. So here's some variation, right? From a practice in North Carolina that was 1.6x all the way to, in Southern California, practices of 3.7x. I'm going to show this 3.7x because it has some interesting characteristics to it of what they did with their membership plan. And obviously, you have everybody in between as well. Mm-hmm. So if we go through each one of those, now I'm not going to go through all of those. I'm going to go through a couple of them just to explain so that it gives you a good understanding of how these things are structured and the differences between them. So this is the practice in Ohio. This is data for all of 2019. You can see they were a little higher than our average on hygiene and on treatment, and a total production of 2.4x versus 2.1 on the average. So they're basically, you probably say they're about average. And if you looked at their membership plan, basically it's very simple. It's a child plan, an adult plan, a perio plan. You can see the pricing, 24, 26, 42. And they kept it really simple as far as what they offer. So it's your cleans, your exams, your x-rays, and 15% flat discount across all your procedures. And you can add all kinds of things to this. So you can add like a list of specialists that are participating in your planning and offering a discount for their treatment if that patient goes to them. You can do things like family discounts and offer additional discounts if you add family members to your plan and things like that. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can actually add custom ones that we haven't even thought of that you have and you want to add. Like you want to give the patient a toothbrush or something, whatever. But this one was very simple and it got good results. Next one, this one basically was right on our average. Northern California, they basically evolved 2019 is what this data is showing. You can see they saw a 60% increase in hygiene, 2.2 on treatment, and 2.1. So basically right on the average. Now, if we take a look at their plan, same basically as the one I showed in Ohio with the addition of a family discount. So they give a 5% subscription discount for family members. So that just means that, for the second family member, it would be $45 less 5%. And the third family member, the same thing. Mm-hmm. But what you see here is it is the same, but look at the difference in pricing, right? So in Ohio, it was 24, 26, 42. In Northern California, it's 33, 45, 50. And that's critical that these are priced properly for your geography and your patient base. And these patients are as happy to pay $45 as somebody in Ohio paying 26, right? So it's not a cookie cutter thing. It's not just, there's a simple price that's across the country. This changes at each dental practice depending on the situation in a practice and the demographics. Here's another one, and this is one that gets pretty interesting as far as how they design their plan. So they had a huge increase, right? I'm just showing visits here. Their visits for their membership plan patients were 3x what they were for non-covered. And look at their production, 3.7x. This is for all of 2019 as well. But here's the interesting part about this. So they have this adult and child and perio, but look what they added here. They added what they're calling the senior club. And this is for patients 65 plus. And you can see it's a lower price than the adult complete. It's 28 instead of 33. But what they did here was the senior club visits the practice between 1 and 3 in the afternoon when the practice is typically pretty dead. And so this got their seniors a plan they wanted, committed to care, and used some dead time in the practice to drive those patients in. And I haven't looked to see exactly what drove this, huge increase, this 3x increase, but I suspect that was it. And, obviously with these other plans as well, but that sort of really resonated with their patients. And we have practices that will do something similar for like kids. We have one that has a kids club. We have ones that will have like a VIP plan that will add whitening to it and things like that. Is even more special than, let's say, the adult complete and so on and so forth. Like you can really customize these based on the needs of your practice and the demographics of practice and what you're trying to drive within your practice. I won't spend a whole lot of time on these rest. I'll just sort of fly through these. This is another study, 6 office practice, small DSO. You can see they doubled their visits per patient. They more than doubled their procedures accepted. They 2.6x and 2.7x on production and treatment. So obviously good result. And this is across 6 practices within that group practice. If you want to try to understand sort of the impact it would have on your practice, what we've done here is just summarize those results based on the number of uncovered patients that you might sell a membership plan to. So let's pick one in the middle here. If you have 250 covered patients or uninsured patients as of today, if you move them to a membership plan, basically you could increase production by 160,000 if you hit the average that I just went through in these studies. And there's no guarantee you're gonna hit that average. It could be a little lower, it could be a little higher, but what we see is consistently right around that average is what practices get. And so, the question obviously coming from this is, well, how does this work? Why does this drive a doubling of that patient revenue for the uninsured patients? And well, after studying this, we sort of boiled it down to a couple things. That membership club effect is really important because they're loyal to your practice, they're trusting of your practice. They're also, the second part though is they're committing to care. So when they sign up for the membership plan, they're basically committing to 12 months of care that you've designed for them, right? And they're paying for that. They can pay for it up front or they can pay on a monthly basis. It's up to you to decide that. But they're committing to those hygiene appointments. And so what happens? They come in for their hygiene reappointments at 2 to 3 times higher level than people without coverage. And you think about that, that makes a lot of sense, right? And if you have a subscription to something, you're going to use it. And what happens from that? Well, I think you've probably seen the studies that 75% of all treatment originates in hygiene. So the key is to get the patient in for hygiene, and treatment comes from that. Because obviously they're coming in, they're trying to trust you, they have a plan, this membership club effect, they trust you more, they're more loyal to you, they have a way of purchasing that makes them feel financially savvy. And so what do? They commit to more care. And that's pretty much it. Like it's that simple is sort of the outcome of all this. And it just happens that ends up at about a 2x increase on the production side. So I think I have 1 or 2 more slides, and then we'll open up to questions or comments or whatever you guys like to do. So from a best practice perspective, this is what we've learned from working with thousands of dental practices. We've had we suffered our lumps along the way. We learned along the way. But if I'm giving advice to anybody, this is what I'd give. So first is you got to localize the membership plan for your practice. You have to personalize it for your patients. I went through examples of that, but really think about, what is the demographics of your patients? When they go to look at your membership plan, does it resonate with them? Like, can they see themselves in that membership plan? And so that's huge. And that will drive a lot of interest and purchase if you do that right. And then the other side, you got to localize it for your practice. It has to be priced right for your practice, right? It has to follow your treatment protocol. You got to believe in it. and it's got to be something that you guys really sort of stand behind and feel good about. So it's got to be localized, and bring those two things together, and you're going to have if you get some of these other things right, you're going to have a winning membership plan. The second one is related to that, but it's that balancing of value. I think I mentioned this in the very beginning, is you want to find a place where both sides win. It's mutually beneficial. So you might give a little bit of a price discount to the patient, but what you get in return is that loyal patient is going to come in much more often and purchase a lot more care. It's a no-brainer if you get the balance right. And so we've seen some practices in the past who weight it one way or the other too far. So they might make it too rich for the practice. So maybe the discounts aren't very good, maybe the benefits aren't very good. And what ends up happening is the patients aren't very interested. And on the other side, we've seen practices that have given too much away. And it's basically a steal. The patient gets too much value from it, and obviously they're interested in it, but the net is the practice isn't. And the practice doesn't really want to sell it, and they feel like they're getting ripped off every time they sell a membership plan. So we do a consultation actually at KLEER. When you say you're interested, we'll spend an hour with you and get this right. We've actually created algorithms that will help figure out the right pricing for the plan to balance both sides. And also our consultants have worked with a lot of practices to get that list of benefits properly balanced between the practice and the patient. The next thing is full commitment from the practice leadership. So as the dentist and the leader of a practice, you need to believe in this. You need to make sure everybody understands it, that it's valuable, and that this thing needs to be used and purchased and sold throughout the practice. And it's a good thing both for the patient and for the practice. And basically get that full commitment that then gives everybody the confidence to go out and offer it to your patients. And with that, you also have to align compensation, and you have to train the team to align the compensation. Make sure the hygienists are getting paid properly for the membership plan. Just because you're giving a discount on that cleaning, exam, x-ray, you might not want to impact the compensation of the hygienist. It's up to you, but we'll consult around this. But the idea that the hygienist makes less on a membership plan is not, patient's not going to go well if they're just not going to be that interested in serving that patient. So you want to get that compensation balanced properly. The other thing is everybody needs to be trained and understand how to talk about the membership plan. We actually provide talk tracks for each sort of group within a practice. We have talk tracks for the front desk, talk tracks for the hygienists, talk tracks for the dentists themselves. And basically the net of all that is from market research is talk about it from the heart and talk about it from your perspective, and why it's good for you is actually a critical piece of this conversation. For like the front desk, making sure you're saying, look, I've always wanted to get you a plan, that's affordable, that gives you the care you need, but we finally have that, and I really want to make sure you take advantage of this. From a hygienist perspective, saying, hey, I know if I purchase this plan, you're going to come more often. I'm going to be able to keep you in better oral health, and that's my job, and I feel passionate about that, and this membership plan enables us to do that better. And then from a dentist perspective, the one we saw actually that resonates really well is talk about why a plan like this is better for you and it's better for the patient than something like insurance, right? So you get rid of the middleman, it's a direct relationship with me, we decide on care, right? And I'm able to pass that savings on to you because I don't have to deal with all the middleman hassles, things like that. But the net is be sort of passionate and personal about it. The next two are sort of related: offer to all your uninsured patients, and also measure production and profitability, not write-off. So we've had practices that will just look at the write-offs, quote unquote, at the end of the month or whatever, end of the quarter, and they'll say, well, hey, we wrote off $10,000 of treatment, right? That's, let's say I give 15% discount across all my membership plan patients. I wrote off $10,000, and that's all the numbers they look at. And what you really need to do is that analysis I just showed, which is you may be thrilled about writing off $10,000, right? If it increased your production by 2x, you would do that in a heartbeat. And so make sure you're looking at the whole of the result and measure that properly than just write-offs. And actually, a lot of times, a lot of write-offs, if the plan is designed right and priced right, is an indication of success, not failure. You want to automate things for your team and your patients. You don't want manual forms and printouts and things like that. Everybody's now used to doing things on their phone, on a PC, whatever, on a laptop. Make it work that way for the patients and for your team. Don't make them do a lot of manual activity. One is it's a waste of time. The other part about it is it's hard to track and understand what's going on. And things like renewals, how are you going to manage renewals if you don't have an automated system in place? It actually will have a major impact on your renewals if that's not automated. And then there's a lot of state and federal regulations that you need to be compliant with. Just make sure you've looked into those and are managed those properly within your membership plan. This is my last slide. So, at KLEER, we do everything virtually. This has always been from the very beginning. This is nothing special relative to COVID, but we can demo the product. We can design your membership plan. We can train your team all virtually. It's free to implement. We don't charge anything, not a dime, all the way up to the point where you sell a membership plan to a patient, and then we just charge a small fee for each patient that purchases the membership plan. But you are charged absolutely nothing until that point when the patient starts to purchase a membership plan. There's no fixed monthly fee or anything like that. It's just based on how many membership plans you sell to your patients. And you can go up and schedule a live demo at KLEER.com that I show there. And then we have an ebook there if you're interested as well at KLEER.com/ebooks. It goes through a lot of the data I just went through. It doesn't have the COVID analysis, but it has analysis of all the other things we did from a market research perspective and provides more details than I got into today. And I think, Spencer, that's it. I don't know if there's any questions we want to answer if you have any comments.
Yeah, I'll, while everyone is either feel free to start typing in or I can unmute everyone. Everybody is unmuted at this point, and feel free to ask any questions or type in any questions. Dave, the first thing I would do is I would go to my book of business, look at my uninsured patients, and I would start smiling and dialing, I think, if I was running a practice right now.
Yeah, what we have actually put together is a set of materials for our practices to start reaching out to their uninsured patients prior to them opening their doors. And it basically says, hey, we know this, COVID has impacted everybody. We feel, whatever, we want to help. And so we're now offering a membership plan that makes it easier to purchase the care in a budget-friendly way and give them a little summary of that. And so, yeah, we're working on things for practices where they can send emails or, direct mail and things like that. We give them materials to go do that.
Yeah. I mean, everybody that is listening today, as well as everyone, will send this to. One of the main initiatives we've had is for our practices to be constantly communicating with their members. And this is just another way of communication that provides another tool or option for our members' patients to, make it easy coming back in. And so I love this as it relates to COVID right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's going to be interesting, just separate from this. I don't have any slides to share on this, but the difficulty of supporting PPO patients moving forward, given that the volume of patients you're going to be able to bring into your office is going to be lower, and PPO models are basically based on volume. Does that model start to have major cracks? It already had cracks, but like major cracks. Mm-hmm. And does this even become more important over time as that PPO model? I'm not sure if they're going to adjust it or not. The dental insurers are going to adjust it, but there's going to be pressure just on the PPO model itself because it's based on such high volume to get to any kind of profitability.
Right. Very good. Well, Dave, we are very appreciative of you taking the time to be on with us today. For all of those that are listening, we will have this recorded link that will be shared via email today via the Crown Council Network. Dave Monahan, everybody with KLEER, and we will, let's see, here's some questions coming in. Who collects the monthly fee, Dave?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I guess I didn't explain the whole processing side. So our back end is tied to a service called Stripe. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them, but yes, they do Stripe, major payment processing in the back end of e-commerce companies. And they actually, their services is supplied through Amazon is one of their customers. But so what we do is when you join, we set up a merchant account on Stripe for your dental practice. When a patient purchases your membership plan, the payment goes into that merchant account. So we don't touch it. We're not allowed to touch it. It goes into that merchant bank account that we set up for you on Stripe, and then it's transferred into your dental practice account, whatever account you've tied to that Stripe account. It's up to you to decide that.
Right.
And so it automatically just gets processed into that your dental, your practice account automatically. In background, typically that's 24 hours or less from the time of purchase. And then our fee, without getting into the details, there's details around this as far as what the fee is, but it averages a little under $4 per patient per month. Is once you're paid and it's in your practice account, that triggers for you to pay us the $4, or it's a little less than $4, but
okay.
That's sort of basically how it works.
Let's stay on that one, Dave. Could we insert there like a Crown Council membership discount? One of the questions came in that is, can you give us the average administrative fee to align with KLEER, right? Which you started to answer there. And then secondly, would you extend a Crown Council discounted fee? Something that made the members feel like, okay, I'm a member of Crown Council, I'm signing up with KLEER, therefore, bam,
Actually, I got to look into it. So I don't know if we have one set up or not. Brad on our team is the one who manages the Crown Council partnership. Let me find out, and we can broadcast back out to the group if there's one place. I just don't know off the top of my head. Oh, Brad just chatted. It's 15%. So you get a 15% discount for being part of Crown Council.
That's awesome. Yeah. How does one renew on an annual basis? I'm assuming they pay monthly, or sorry, I saw that they could pay annually or monthly, and then it's time to renew. You just do the same thing?
Yeah, so let me explain the monthly versus the annual and then the renewal, because they're both critically important. So you get to decide if you offer monthly payments or not. That's up to you. And some do and some don't. I would say it's high percentage do. About 75% do offer the monthly payment option, because when you talk about millennial patients and younger patients, that is critical to getting them on your membership plan. If you don't have a lot of millennials, that's fine. Just do an annual upfront fee. So that's one thing. When we do charge, by the way, on the KLEER fee, on the KLEER platform, on the monthly side, we charge 3 months upfront for if you are taking the monthly plan. So just to get into the plan, you pay the first 3 months, and then you start the monthly payments in the 4th month and on. And that makes sure that the person's serious about purchasing the plan. It covers you for that first visit to a certain extent. We also do a check through Stripe on that credit card that's being used, or whatever payment's being used. And our failure rate on monthly payments is only 1.5%. So it's very, very low. So our guidance to practices is typically offer the monthly payment option.
Got it.
Sorry, Spencer. Then coming to the renewal, when the patient signs up on the KLEER platform, they agree to the renewal. So that's part of the terms of service, and it's right there in front of them. Like from a legal perspective, we expose exactly what it means right there, and they can look into details if they want. And then again, a legal requirement is 45 days prior to them renewing, we send them a notification, again, automatically to them. They always have the option within the patient portal to opt out of the renewal, and we give that link to them in the email. If they they don't opt out, and that notification they don't respond to, and at the 12-month mark, it just renews. Mm-hmm. And then again, a legal requirement is you have to send them confirmation of that and a receipt, which the system does, the platform does automatically. So that's all managed. And what you can do, like what we see on the platform, is if you implement certain things, some of these best practices, and design this properly and treat the patient properly, you'll have 80 to 90% renewal rates. People want to stay in if you've done it properly.
It's nice to open up the practice on May 1 of a new month, and all membership fees hit, and you're already X amount ahead of where you would have been had you not been having membership fees come in. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's one way to look at it.
Oh, huge. So, and we didn't design KLEER to handle the COVID, issue where there's a shutdown. That was nowhere in my design, requirements. But we have practices right now who have, thousands of patients on the platform. And that's to say they have 1,000 on the platform, and who are being paid $30 a month for those patients, right? Who are making $30,000 a month right now, right? Even though their practice is closed. Now, I don't want that to happen very often, right? And I don't want the practice to be closed, very long given that situation, because at some point the patients are going to get upset. So one thing we did do as part of the COVID response was we gave practices the option to pause their subscription. So and so you actually can go in and pause your subscriptions, and as long as you're closed, that subscription is going to be extended once the practice opens back up based on how long you were closed. So like there's things you can do, which is great about these things, is you can make decisions like that, right? Based on any kind of situation that, you know, sort of presents itself, and do the right thing for the patients as needed.
Dave, last question, and it has to do with what keeps them paying monthly. One of the questions came in and they receive their services. Granted, it includes 2 per year plus an emergency visit. I saw in the notes there, but is there some additional added value on the monthly basis that kind of keeps them saying, hey, this is why I pay monthly, because, you know, of X, or, you know, or do you have, I guess what the question is I come in, get my services done, I want to cancel now, you know? So what keeps them engaged to continue paying the most, would you say?
So the thing that keeps them engaged, one is they're buying this and they want to commit to care. And so that's a fundamental need. But then obviously the 2 clinics, exams, x-rays over the course of, let's say, 6 or 7 months, because everybody doesn't do it on 6 months, you know, extends for pretty much the life of the membership. But also remember, they're getting discount on other treatment, and they have that emergency exam. If you want to offer, you don't have to. I mean, you can design this however you want. But that discount is really important to patients. Remember that idea of I have coverage and I feel comfortable that I have coverage. Well, if they don't pay, they don't have coverage. So if something happens to them, they're not getting a discount, you know, on the treatment they need. So as I was explaining that, our failure rate on monthly payments is only 1.5%. So we have very few who actually don't pay. And typically what we find with the ones that don't, you know, the payments aren't processed, is it wasn't because somebody's playing a game. It was because their card got stolen or lost. That's the typical reason. And you get those, like, again, the system notifies you automatically, notifies the patient automatically. And, you know, we typically get those things resolved when there's an issue. And so, yeah, we do get a lot of questions about that month-to-month thing. And we just don't have any issue, really. A very small percentage of patients don't pay that monthly fee after they commit to it.
So good. Dave, be healthy and safe, and we appreciate KLEER and your time. For all of our viewers and listeners, we'll be sharing this on the Crown Council email network. We'll share the link, and you can watch all these Q&As, as well as feel free to reach out to me or KLEER, and we can help put you in touch with them. We'll provide all the out. Dave and KLEER, thanks so much for your time, and we'll be in touch with you guys as usual. Thanks,
Great.
everybody.
Thank you, Spencer. Thanks for having me.